Welcome to 365 Language Planet. This is Let's Speak English and Nihongo in collaboration with the RSU PAL Center of Ransit University International College in Bangkok, Thailand. Before we start, let's check this month's 365 language stars, moons, and planets. So far this month, we have 2 stars, Zayar Mint and Ayamiyatira. Way to go. 4 moons, A Hybridge, YO, Nora, and Kan Mama. Nice job. And 6 planets, Yamake, Takanona, Charming, Takesh, EGG, and Yimin Fo. Nice job. If you want to become a 365 language planet, all you need to do is share an idea in the chat. So, let's begin. Hajimemashou. The theme of episode 42 of Let's Speak English and Nihongo is smartphone addiction. And to talk with us about this theme tonight, we have, if I can get them. Let's see. Okay. Good evening, PPK.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, so PPK, do you have a smartphone?
Yeah, of course, I think everybody does these days.
Do you use your smartphone a lot?
All the time, yes.
Me
Especially
too.
USA. Yeah.
Me too. So I think, this is a very important topic. Oh no. Sorry, PP. I have to fix your. Okay, it's coming back. Sorry, I had your camera. Okay, I'm trying to get you perfect in the camera. Okay, so let's begin. All right. The first question of tonight's show is, what do you think are signs of having a smartphone addiction? 日本語でスマートフォン依存症の兆候は何だと思いますか? So what do you think, PK? PPK, what do you think are signs of having a smartphone addiction?
Well, I think it's obvious, just like drugs, like alcohol, cigarettes. I think it's obvious when you can say someone's addicted to something, they cannot stop using it. The same applies to smartphones, of course. But the addiction of smartphones isn't as widely emphasized as the addiction of obvious drugs like alcohol, because everyone's now doing it. It's now the norm. So even if it's addiction, well, it's not addiction if everyone's addicted to it.
I see. All right. Well, let's ask the viewers. What do you think are signs of having a smartphone addiction? Please write your answer in the chat or in the comments. Smartphone依存症の兆候は何だと思いますか? チャットまたはコメントに答えを書いてください. You have 4 minutes. I think for me, I would say one of the, number one signs is you use your smartphone even if it's a dangerous time. Especially while driving a car. Driving a car and using your smartphone, very dangerous.
Yes, some people do that all the time, whether they're eating, whether they're in the bathroom. Yeah.
All right. Well, Zayar Mint says, yes, I cannot stay without mobile phone. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining tonight's show, Zayar Mint. I think a lot of people would say, I cannot stay. Sometimes stay might be okay in some situations, but the most common phrase is, I cannot live. I cannot live without my smartphone. Which I understand. I think, yes, it's very difficult to live without a smartphone nowadays.
Yes, from very young age, especially this generation, we are conditioned to be like addicted to smartphones because they are around more than ever.
All right. Well, the question is, what do you think are signs of having a smartphone addiction? Smartphone依存症の兆候は何だと思いますか? All right, Nora, no problem. Thank you for joining tonight's show. If you have an answer to tonight's question, please share it in the chat. チャットまたはコメントに答えを書いてください. All right. Says Zayar Min says, mostly I use mobile phone, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Nice idea. All right, Charming, thank you for joining tonight's show. She says, I think if I forget to bring a smartphone outside, I feel kind of afraid feeling. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't feel afraid usually. Do you feel afraid if you forget your smartphone, PPK?
Depends on the situation, but I think I've never been outside without a smartphone, so I don't know that feeling.
I see. All right. Well, Nora says people are definitely very bored without using smartphones, but there are so many disadvantages of them. Great answer. Thank you, Nora, for joining tonight's show. K Workshop says, I think using it for more than 2 hours a day is a dangerous sign. All right. Thanks so much, K Workshop, for joining tonight's show. Matita says, smartphone addiction is like a drug. I think so, too. Thank you very much for joining the show tonight. Yeah, I feel like one more for me. Sometimes, I feel like I'm checking my phone too much. I feel like that's kind of a dopamine addiction. Like I'm just like checking. Oh, is there any like news update or some kind of like message or comment or something? Yes. All right. Well, great job, guys. Good answers. Let's move on to the next section. So now, please write a new question in the chat or in the comments. All right. KE says one sign would be like staying up late, scrolling, or waking up in the middle of the night to check your phone. Thanks so much, KE, for joining tonight's show. Okay. I agree. Okay, so now, please share an answer or question in the chat. I'll start the timer. So you have 4 minutes. All right. Yeah, I used to play games at night on my phone. Did you ever do that, PPK?
Yeah, teenagers these days do that up until like 1 or 2 a.m. and sometimes even until the dawn. So it's a problem.
It's a problem. All right. Notice says, I like watching YouTube and playing games is fun, but your eyes get weak. I agree. I agree. Zayat Mint says, PK, how about you? How many times do you use your mobile phone in one day?
I would say all the time because I use it for recreational activities. I use it for practical purposes, like I would use it to make purchases at shops, and I would use it for work or school related activities, like a simple Google search.
Yeah, I use my phone to check the news a lot. And I use it to make, I use it to make YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos. Yeah, and I use it for my lessons. So I don't know. I think I use my phone a lot too. Maybe not as much as you, but quite a bit. If you have a question, please share it in the chat or in the comments. But in Japan, phones are definitely becoming more popular for using to pay, like using to buy things.
I see.
Yeah, I do sometimes. For using phone or watching TV. All right. PK disappeared. Hopefully he'll come back. All right. Matita says, do you play games with smartphones? Nice question. That was a nice question too, Noah. We lost PPK. Hopefully his connection will get fixed. So I play an app called Duolingo a lot. Okay. All right, PPK, you're back. I don't know, I didn't touch anything. It just, disappeared. It must be the internet connection.
Yeah, things happen.
But Nora had a question. She said, do you prefer using phone or watching TV?
I think these days more people are using phones rather than watch TVs. I mean, TVs are just used for like big screens.
Yeah.
And I think some people are more than ever, people are choosing to not have TVs in their homes because it just takes space, and even if they want to watch news, they can just go on YouTube and search for like new channels names like BBC, Sky News, etc.
It is convenient. Takesh says, how often do you use your smartphone's camera? Great question. Thank you, Takesh, for joining tonight's show. Do you often use your camera?
Not really, but I think I tend to take screenshots because of like assignment, and I have to like take screenshot and take notes. But to take photos, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are into selfies or like beautiful imagery would be using smartphone cameras more.
I see. KE says, how many hours a day do you spend without your phone? Nice question. So I would say, I think PPK is almost about 0.
It's hard to measure it, but let's just say 0.
Yeah, I know. I'm close to 0. I can't say for sure. But nice question, KE. How about you? When you have a chance, please let us know your answers to the questions. All right. Well, let's move on to the next question of tonight's show, which is, if you notice that you are using a smartphone too much, what can you do about it? 日本語でスマートフォンを使いすぎていることに気づいたらどうすればいいでしょうか? Any idea, PPK?
Well, if using phones too much becomes a problem, the first step is to recognize the problem. That's the most important step. And the problem is most people don't want to acknowledge the problem. So the problem only gets worse and worse. So the first step is just to recognize it. So the steps to fix comes later.
I see. Yes. Okay, he says, I'd say a whole day except sleeping time. I think that's a lot of people nowadays. We keep our smartphones with us all day, except sleeping time for some people. Okay, well, let's ask the viewers. If you notice that you are using a smartphone too much, what can you do about it? スマートフォンを使いすぎていることに気づいたらどうすればいいでしょうか? Please write your answer in the chat or in the comments. チャットまたはコメントに答えを書いてください. You have 4 minutes. All right. Nora says, my eyes start to be weak, so I close the phone. Nice. It's definitely one thing you can do, is just close the phone. Nice idea.
Yes, your eyes tend to get dry after a long period of mobile phone consumption.
Yes. I do, I try, it's daytime, I have to use my phone a lot for work, and so it's very difficult to, regulate. But in the evening, what I do is I put my phone on airplane mode.
I see.
Zaire Mint says, I use a smartphone long time. I made the power off and I close my eyes for rest. Yeah, that's another good thing. Just, I think that's the next step from if airplane mode doesn't work, you gotta turn off the power. Nice. Well, if you notice that you are using a smartphone too much, what can you do about it? Please write your answer in the chat or in the comments. スマートフォンを使いすぎていることに気づいたらどうすればいいでしょうか? チャットまたはコメントに答えを書いてください. I have, for me, my biggest issue these days is like when I finish my work, I finish doing some work or study, and then as soon as I finish, I switch to like checking YouTube or checking news. Like as soon as I finish, I switch to that, and I was like, what am I doing? Why do I always switch?
Yeah. Our brains tend to need a little hit of dopamine, I guess. After a long period of stress, they just need a little rewards.
I guess so. All right. Noah says he has an idea. After you use your phone, you have to take a rest or you can be blind. Oh, my. The workshop says you should try DNT a little time instead of using your smartphone. Nice idea. And he says DNT means do nothing time. Nice. A Hybrid says, good evening. When that happens, I clean up. Whoa. That sounds very good. And thank you, A Hybrid, for joining tonight's show. Chandy says, I try to turn off the switch of smartphone and I do exercise. Wow. Healthy.
It seems the recurring solution is just to occupy yourself with some activity rather than using the phone. So you keep yourself busy.
Yeah. What would be, yes, I think it's great, exercise or cleaning. I need to do something. I need to do something after I finish working and just like switch, like move to another activity. We'll see. All right, great job, everyone. Let's move on to the next section. Notice says, if you are bored, you can't be watching phone. You can do some housework. I should try. Do you want to try doing housework instead of using your phone, PPK?
Well, I tend to procrastinate on doing housework. So until my room becomes really messy, I just, occupy myself with my smartphone.
Yes. Same here. Okay, well, let's move on to the next section. So now, please write a new question in the chat or in the comments. チャットまたはコメントに新しい質問を書いてください。You have 4 minutes. 4分間あります。All right. So, yeah, I think, you can, with the notice, if you notice, something, what can you do about it? I think that's a great question for, many situations. If you notice you are tired all the time, what can you do about it?
Well, the obvious answer is to search for a solution. So for me, if I notice a problem, I will use Google. I will use AI like ChatGPT to discuss what can I do about it.
Great. Yes, that's a good, very, very good idea. PK said, Zayar Mint says, PK, what are you doing when you use a mobile phone a long time? Nice question.
Well, I use it for various purposes. Mainly, I use mobile phone for recreational purposes like watching YouTube or scrolling on the internet. I use laptop for university-related work. So mobile phone is mainly for recreational purpose.
I'm smiling because one of our viewers wrote a kind of funny comment. She said, or he said, I don't know. It could be he or she. I don't know, but you could kiss your phone. I guess this is if you notice if you're using your phone too much. You could kiss your phone, say goodbye, and put it on the place where you cannot reach easily. That's one of the funniest, I think, comments I've seen.
Yeah, it's also one of the techniques the great students use, because if they can't, stop themselves from using their phones, they place their phones in somewhere they couldn't reach. So even if they have urges, they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's great. It's good strategy. Very good strategy. I don't know about kissing part, but I think, putting it out of reach is good. All right. Notice says, the disadvantage of using phone so long is you can have a headache. You can get weaker. Wow. I think so too. All right. Kan Mama says, I always listen to music without using a smartphone. How about you? Sounds great. Thanks for joining tonight's show, Kan Mama. So, yeah, do you listen to music without using a smartphone, PPK?
I mean, I can use my laptop. Well, if I'm out in public, I just use my earphones and my smartphone to listen to music. At home, I don't really have to use earphone, so I can listen to music on my laptop.
Nice. I almost always use my smartphone to listen to music. It's just, so easy to bring it, like when I walk to the bathroom or walk to a different room. It's very convenient. But I don't use earphones anymore. I don't think it's good for my ears. Like pumping in the music.
Yeah, I also try not to use earphones that much.
Yes. All right. K Workshop says, I think everyone who has a smartphone has a smartphone addiction too. I don't know anyone who has a smartphone who doesn't have a smartphone addiction. Yeah, that's why, I have a son who's 12 years old, and I haven't given him a phone yet because I think, it's like for people, it's so easy to get hooked.
If everyone's addicted, then no one's addicted.
Like, something, huh? That's just human behavior. That's just maybe. Okay, well, great job, everyone. Let's move on to the last question of tonight's show, which is, do you think there should be more education about the safe use of smartphones? 日本語でスマートフォンの安全な使用に関する教育をもっと行うべきだと思いますか? So what do you think, PPK? Do you think so?
Yeah, of course. I believe the use of smartphones should be safe, especially when it's being used by underage people, because they're still in their development stage. So excessive use of smartphones can harm their well-being.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, let's ask the viewers. Do you think there should be more education about the safe use of smartphones? スマートフォンの安全な使用に関する教育をもっと行うべきだと思いますか? Please write your answer in the chat or in the comments. チャットまたはコメントに答えを書いてください. That's kind of a long question. And very simple, yes, no question. You could just write yes or no. But, you could give a reason why. Like, I think so. But I don't know, like how much research has been done, about like the, like effects of using smartphones for long periods of time.
Yeah, I think parents especially should be educated about the use of phones, because telling children to stop using phones isn't going to do much. They can do whatever they want. It's about informing their parents, because it's the parents who regulate the behavior of their children, who allow things to happen. So, yes.
I think so too. Zayamin says, yes, I think at the child school, teach them about safe use of mobile phones. They must know do and don'ts. Great. Simon says, I think so. We have to learn how to use smartphones safely. I agree. Noah says, you can read the books online on your phone. Yes, I'm sure there is, lots of research. But I coming back to what you were saying about parents, I agree. As a parent, I think it's very important to set a good example for my child.
Yes.
And so I try. I when I was younger, I used my smartphone a lot more, like at night, and mostly at nighttime. Like when my wife was sleeping, I could play games and use my phone. But that's not a good example to set. So these days at nighttime, I put my phone on the airplane mode and go to bed.
Yes. I also have to be careful about using phones at night because if I use too much, I don't want to sleep and just want to keep using it.
Yeah. I guess that's one thing I have learned from YouTube is like they always say like blue light from smartphones is not good. All right. Notice says, and you can watch education YouTube videos on your phone, which are great. Like this kind of show. And like, so it's so, smartphones on one hand are so beneficial for people, but on the other hand, it's so, it's kind of difficult to like have self-control.
Yes.
They are good examples of a double-edged sword. It's like good one way, but it's kind of bad the other.
I think too much everything is bad.
Yes.
Too much alcohol is bad. Too much, even coffee is bad. So using too much phone is bad.
Yes, but I think smartphones are so useful. They're much more beneficial than alcohol for humans. But
Yes.
they're also a little dangerous too. Okay, well, if you're still typing, please continue, and you can share your answer to this question anytime in the chat or in the comments. Okay, well, let's move on to the last section of tonight's show. So, you have one more chance to write a new question in the chat or in the comments. チャットまたはコメントに新しい質問を書いてください。You have 4 minutes. So, think about education. I think there should be education for people of all ages.
Yes.
And, just, like strategy. Like, what's a, good strategy for using your phone?
When I was young, they will hold events where parents and students alike would come and listen to these events, the educational stuff, about health, about the dangers of something like that. So the same could be done about the use of the smartphones. We could talk about it at schools, such.
Nice idea. All right. K Workshop says, tough question. It's important for each person to control themselves. Yes, it is. I agree. It's just, sometimes it's not easy, but I agree. It's kind of it's an issue. Notice says, yes, smartphones are useful, but your eyes. And she's like, ah. Thank you, Noah. Nice answer. PK, Zayarmin says, PK, are you studying education from mobile phones?
No, I just sometimes use phones for like quick Google searches, but I do my assignments mainly with my laptop. My phone is just for stuff like watching YouTube and reading comics and such.
I see. Charming says, PK, did you learn how to use cell phones safely in Bangkok?
Not particularly. This use of smartphone in Bangkok isn't, dangerous. How can I say that? Well, there's of course the mobile banking system in Bangkok is very, very prevalent. So everyone's just using a mobile transfer instead of cash. So sometimes you just have to be careful about where and how you transfer money via mobile banking, because your money can be used by malicious third party, and it can go to the wrong person and such.
I see. Nora says, please use phones to take photos, listen to songs, and watch. Nice idea. Yeah, I think, it's kind of, maybe my image is, like even, everywhere in the world, you have to worry a little bit about hackers, right? I'm not sure that, how, the whole science behind it, but sometimes like with Wi-Fi networks, hackers are able to somehow gain, like access to your phone. As far as so, Takesh says, smartphones are too expensive for me to replace them that often. How about you?
Yeah, I think high quality devices are more expensive than ever, and but low quality stuff are available for cheap prices. But I think everyone just want to buy expensive stuff, not because they're they look more extravagant, but they are more sturdy, and they're more convenient and efficient. They have more storage, and they last more.
I see.
So cheap ones just die quickly.
We have another funny comment by KE. Which do you prefer to keep, your phone or your girlfriend/wife? Tough question.
Very, very tough question.
Yeah, I'm sure it's, I think it depends on the girlfriend and the wife. But in my case, I would keep my wife.
Right now, I don't have any partner yet, so I think I would choose my phone.
That's good answer. It's kind of it's a case by case answer. So nice question. How about you, Ke? Charmin says thank you for your answer, and notice says most of the people, U.S. people, have Apple iPhones. Maybe. Okay. Ke says I prefer my boyfriend, of course. Goodbye, my phone. Okay, I'm happy to hear that. You must have a great boyfriend. Okay, well, that's the end of tonight's show. Thank you guys so much for joining PPK and me. Our show, Let's Speak English and Nihongo, is every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Japan Standard Time. So, if you haven't already, please subscribe and give the show a big thumbs up. Mitita says thank you. Good night, guys. Anything you want to say, PPK?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to talk about phone addiction with guys.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you, YO, for joining tonight's show. Hope everyone has a great night, and we will see you next time. また次回うちに会いましょう。